What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and welcome to another update breakdown. In today's video, we are going to be breaking down the 428 update notices because we now have official information confirmed from Netmarble themselves on what we can expect for the EX Kyo update. And yeah, there is a lot of stuff in here, like a lot of stuff, a lot of events and a lot of prizes and a lot of things that you are going to want to know about. So we are going to be breaking all that down today and giving you guys all of the information, or at least I hope it's all of the information, because inevitably we probably forgot something, but we're going to go ahead and try to give you as much information in this video as humanly possible, so that way you guys are fully prepared for the latest update to be added into the game later on this evening with the new maintenance. But before we go ahead and get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys enjoy daily King of Fighters All-Star content such as this, you smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, we got a lot to talk about, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Cue that intro. Alright, you guys know, as always, links will be in the description to all these forum posts so you can check them out for yourselves, and I will also be periodically showing you guys some assets that are not going to be listed in these update notices, so that way you guys will have all the information in front of you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the news. So the first thing, of course, we're going to be taking a look at here is going to be the update notice for 427. Now, the first thing that they're going to talk about here is, of course, going to be Extreme Kyo. So Extreme Kyo is going to be a red attack type. We already knew this is nothing new. He is modeled after the KOF 15 version of Kyo, again, nothing new, so we can kind of move on from this. This is stuff we already knew. He is going to be coming along with SS Iori as his banner mate. They do not list him here for whatever reason next to him, but whatever. We'll talk more about that because, well, here's the card. So, when it comes to the cards, as you guys already are probably aware, we are going to be seeing a new finisher for Kyo, for the Extreme Kyo. So this is going to be his new 3PG finisher. We've already seen this finisher. This is his climax finisher from KOF 15 with a couple of alterations. If you guys didn't see my video the other day going over that and showing you guys what that looks like, link will be in the description. We're also going to have the rerun of the SS Iori 3PG finisher. Iori is getting buffed, which we will talk about, and yeah, this should be a pretty nice buff for this character, so very cool that they're rerunning this for him and not just leaving it out of the update like, oh, I don't know what they did with Chizuru, but we'll talk more about that. So, we are also going to get an exclusive option card for Kyo, as you guys can tell from the cute little chibi token down here at the bottom. So yeah, this is going to be what appears to be a exclusive option card for Kyo. We'll have to wait and see if it is going to be usable on all Kyos, and see if it's even going to be worth using in the first place. So beyond that, we do have the new set. So this is going to be the successor set. We already saw this. There were data mines that had these assets in there, so we've already seen these. The most interesting thing here, because we don't know what these do yet, is of course going to be the fact that we do have Kyo next to Shuni here. I do get the feeling that eventually what we're going to end up seeing, because of the whole protagonist thing, I think that we're probably eventually going to see Shune come in, and he is going to be an EX, and probably have SS Kyo rerun next to him. That is my bold prediction, but that's neither here nor there. Let's move on, but that's something you guys can put in the back pocket and just kind of sit on for a while, and we'll see if I'm right down the road. So, now when it comes to this other stuff, Kyo is going to have those effects on his new 3PG Climax card finisher, so he is going to have the ability to pick up randomly one of these effects whenever you pull it, so that's pretty much what you got there. Nothing new. This is stuff that we have seen a million times at this point. So we're also going to have new event battle cards. Now, the Rush Dungeon that we will be getting with this event is going to have a new farmable set. This is going to be available in the exchange shop. This is the Whirl of Destiny set. So pretty interesting. We'll see. It, of course, is going to feature the Sacred Treasures team, which we will be talking about quite a bit in this video as we go through this stuff. But this is going to be the new free set. Hopefully it lives up to the pedigree of some of our past free sets, because yeah, every once in a while we get really lucky with these. So pretty cool stuff. I like the art, very neat. But let's go ahead and move on, because we also have a new option card. So this option card here is going to be available through a different method, which we'll talk about. But overall, pretty cool stuff, you guys. I mean, it's going to be one of those things where, as you guys can see, there's going to be several different ways that we can get some of this stuff. So overall, as we go through these events, you guys will kind of see that. But in general, we're going to be getting quite a few new cards. So hopefully these things are worth using. No idea what any of these do, so we'll move on. Next up here, we're going to talk about the memory combination. So we are going to be able to randomly, potentially pick up SS Iori memories from going in and combining our memories. So that's pretty much something we're used to at this point with a lot of these types of limited run banners. Not anything too crazy there. So if you go ahead and you try to combine your purple memories in the combination system, you will have the potential of picking up SS Iori. So pretty cool. So next up here, we also are going to see that we have the special signature memory combination function back. This is going to be returning, so we can get some generic memories if we have any random memories laying around for other SS characters, kind of like with that Chizuru event going on right now. So that is an option if you want to do that, and that will be returning with the update. Other things in here is the fighter balance adjustments. So as I had mentioned to you guys, on top of the fact that Iori is getting rerun, his card's getting rerun, and he is going to be, as you guys saw up here, available potentially for memories from the combination system for memories, you are also going to see he's getting buffed. So as always, you guys, when it comes to the buffs, the way they lay these out is they've got a nice little simple before and after. Any of the red text is going to be what changed. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So first up here on the S1 for SS Iori, he now has a new line of text that increases the target's damage received by 35% for 5 seconds upon landing. So pretty nice little buff there to his overall damage output, but not anything too crazy, but it gets better. I'm really, really happy with what they did for Iori overall. So we'll kind of move on from that, but really nice little add. That's going to help him out overall with his damage output, but like I said, it gets better. Next up here on his S2, he is going to have a change to his PvP exclusive. Originally, his PvP exclusive disabled the target's active skills for 4 seconds upon landing a skill. Now his PvP exclusive disables all enemies' active skills for 4 seconds upon use. All enemies in PvP. I mean, I guess it's okay for League? I don't know. Disables all enemies' active skills for 4 seconds upon use in PvP, as opposed to disabling the target's active skills for 4 seconds upon landing a skill in PvP. Is he expecting to fight like 3 guys at once a lot of the time? Interesting. I don't know, that's an interesting one to me. I don't really see where that's going to be super duper beneficial. Like I said, maybe if there's things tagging in and out and things such as League? I don't know about that one. That one's kind of interesting. Anyway, we'll move on. So going to the S3, this is one where it actually starts to get pretty good, so we'll kind of talk about this. So as you guys can see here, there's a couple of different additions and changes, so we'll just kind of go through them one at a time. First up here on the S3, we had used to increase attack by 35% for 7 seconds. Now we use it to increase attack by 60% for 7 seconds. Pretty good. Next up here, we have a 50% chance to reset the skill cooldown of the S2 on a cooldown of 15 seconds. Now we have a 70% chance to reset the cooldown of the S2 on a cooldown of 15 seconds. Pretty good. And then finally, we have a change to the other PvP exclusive here. Originally, we had a 60% chance to remove the target's super armor or hyper armor upon landing a skill on a target with super armor or hyper armor. Now we have a 70% chance. So an increase of 10% there. And then of course up here we are going to have the small addition of the 20% chance, but that is a big amount for something like this. So chances are a lot of the time you're going to be getting this most of the time. So pretty good stuff. And then this guy here did almost double. So pretty nice little multiplier buffs there overall. Good stuff, you love to see it. Now, next up here, when we get into the cores, this is really where things start to come together for these buffs for him. So let's take a look at these because these are pretty cool. So originally here on the core, the Era of 660 years, we had a 30% chance to gain damage immunity for 3 seconds when attacked on a cooldown of 15 seconds. Now, as you guys can see, that cooldown has been lowered from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. So that is a really, really nice overall buff to this. A whole 5 seconds shaved off of his damage immunity. You'll love to see it. Now, next up here, we have a whole new line of text. He is going to decrease the target's damage dealt by 30% for 7 seconds and increases their damage received for 30 seconds for 7 seconds upon landing an active skill. Wow, it's a lot of words, and on a cooldown of 12 seconds. So, pretty cool little line here. As you guys can see, we'll kind of go through it. It decreases the target's damage dealt by 30% for 7 seconds. Good stuff. And then you're increasing their damage received by 30% for 7 seconds upon landing a skill. So overall, really nice addition for him, and I think that that is going to help him out quite a bit on his overall damage output, as well as a little bit of his survivability, but yeah, it's not going to help it that much. So next up here, we have another line that has had a little bit of an addition here. So as you guys can see, originally this is going to becomes immune to darkness stun when Kyo is on the team. So when Kyo's on the team, he is immune to darkness and stun. Now he becomes immune to darkness and stun and increases his attack by 30% when Kyo's on the team. So pretty nice little buff and increase to his attack. So as you guys can see, they're definitely trying to make him more viable. He's already not a terrible character. He's just a little bit on the weak side. So, you know, this stuff I think is definitely going to be beneficial for him. However, it gets even better. So this is going to be the last one. This is going to be on his core strongest rival. Now, as you guys can see, there has been a change to the percentage here on the first line. So we originally increased our active skill damage dealt to enemies affected by burn or darkness by 80%. That is now jumping to 90%, so a 10% increase. And then we have a whole new line of text here. So decreases active skill cooldowns by 0.5 seconds when attacking targets affected by darkness. Fantastic buff for him. This is a core that you love to see on any of your characters, and overall, I'm very happy with what they did for Iori. If you're a fan of SS Iori, I think you're going to be very happy with all this. Like I said, this is not a terrible character. He's just a character that just doesn't have a whole lot of use cases and is kind of on the weaker end by comparison to a lot of the meta nowadays. But now I think that this is going to help him out quite a bit. And hey, you know, overall, I'm pretty happy for him. So we'll have to see how this all compares, but overall, I think this is going to help him immensely. So that is pretty much what we got as far as the buffs. We will now move on to the rest of the update. So we have new imprint stones. They're extreme imprint stones. So let's go ahead and talk about the extreme imprint stones real quick. So basically, these are going to have special effects when equipped on EX fighters. So basically, kind of like what we have with SS and BS stones, we're going to have EX stones. So is it a surprise to anyone? Not at all. So, special effects are applied when equipped to fighters such as Chizuru, Kyo, or Iori, because these are going to be 3 Sacred Treasures tags that are going to be necessary for these, from what it looks like. And we are going to have, thankfully, several different ways to obtain them. The EX imprint stones can be obtained by achieving EX Kyo Kusanagi's fighter growth in the event codex. The 3 Sacred Treasures imprint stones can be obtained through events such as a Relay Bingo Carnival or Challenge Dungeon. So we're going to have 2 different types of stones coming in here, right? We're going to have EX stones, which you're going to be able to get from the Kyo growth from the codex, which is kind of like what we always have. So basically these EX stones are going to be pretty much exactly what we've come to be expecting with these SS and BS characters, only for EX characters. And then we are going to have a new 3 Sacred Treasures imprint stone set that is going to be coming along that we're going to be able to get through several different event missions, which we'll talk about as we go through here. So interesting stuff. We basically have quite a few new stones coming in with this. We'll have to wait and see what these do, but we pretty much expected to see EX stones. The 3 Sacred Treasures imprint stone stuff is kind of something we didn't expect, so that's kind of nice, especially considering it looks like we're going to be able to get them for free. So overall, pretty interesting stuff. Now, we are also going to, of course, be able to change up SS Iori. So as you guys can see, SS Iori is now going to be able to EX. So for this character, he not only got buffed, but he's also getting an EX version, and you're going to be able to EX him the same way as you would with any of these characters. So not anything too surprising here. I doubt that I'm going to be messing with that because I'm not going to really be investing on this banner. I get the feeling, we'll see, but I still haven't decided entirely, but I doubt it at this point. So that's pretty much what you got there. So overall, pretty interesting stuff. And of course, EX Kyo we're also going to be able to build, so not anything surprising there. So in general, nothing to talk about there really. Now, we do have a new season of Chapter Fight coming in, which is very important considering another one of these events we're going to be getting where we're going to need some of these imprint ores and such, which we'll talk more about as we go. So next up here, we have a tower. So we are going to have a new tower. This is going to be available during the event period, and this is also going to be something that we can use SS Iori or EX Kyo for. So if you already have SS Iori on your roster, congratulations, you don't have to worry about being locked out of this thing, and you should be able to clear it no muss, no fuss, considering the fact that now SS Iori has been buffed. He should be in pretty good shape as long as yours isn't, A1. So, don't know much about what the CP requirements will be by the time we get to the final mission, but we'll have to take a look at it whenever the update goes live. Now, we do have a rush dungeon. We've already talked about this. This is going to be where we can get that new set, and we'll have to see what other goodies are going to be available in there. But in general, we will be seeing a new rush dungeon as well. We have a new login bonus. This isn't anything too crazy. About the most interesting thing on here is going to be the 5-day login bonus item, which is of course going to be for your dispatch missions, which is kind of cool. You always like to see those speed up tickets, so that's kind of neat, but beyond that, not anything there that's too crazy. We are also going to have the event codex. We've already talked about that. That's going to be where you, of course, build up EX Kyo, and you'll be able to pick up those new EX stones for him, as well as various other items, depending on how high up you build him. We have the 3 Sacred Treasures Relay Bingo game. We'll talk more about that in a separate notice when we get there. The Memory Carnival. We are going to be seeing a new Memory Carnival. Again, we'll talk more about when we get to the event notice. We are going to have a Orochi Resistance crafting event, which, as you guys can see here, pretty interesting stuff. So, as you guys can see, this is going to be the way that one of the ways we're going to be able to pick up those Sacred Treasures imprint stones. And you guys are going to see here that we can go ahead and pick up different types of coins to craft these different items. We will be kind of talking more about that in the separate event notice as well, but do keep in mind that we do have that other option card with Orochi on it right there. So in general, pretty cool stuff. We've seen a lot of these crafting missions recently. Netmarble seems to be pretty hype on those, so we'll have to wait and see, but this is going to have a lot of really cool items from the looks of it, so we'll have to wait and see what all that entails, but we'll talk more about it when we get to the other notice like I mentioned. So, we are also going to be getting the Orochi X Yamada no Orochi Advent Dungeon. So, this is also going to be available. This is going to be where we can get moon coins. Again, we'll talk more about that as we go into the other notice, but worth noting right now. KOF Battle Passes are coming back. We'll talk more about it when we get there, but they're Battle Passes. So, other things here. We have new packages coming in. I'm not going to go over all this, but I want to point something out real quick. A couple things real fast for you guys. So when it comes to the tokens for the token packages for package 3 here, which is of course going to be the big old whale one, I do want to point out for all my whales out there that you are going to see eight of the tokens in here again for both the fighter summons and the card summons for the EX banners. So that is something I know that was a big subject to contention with a lot of people out there. They were really upset about how these things have shifted around as far as the amounts in them recently. This is going to be one of the ones that has 8 of those separately in there, so pretty cool stuff. This EX Fighter Swift Awakening package I also thought was noteworthy because if you take a look here, that's a lot of rubies. So in general, there's a couple of packages in here that are kind of interesting. I'm going to wait for all of them to go live before we really kind of get into this, because some of these look cool, but you never know because, well, chances are they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. So, speaking of charging you an arm and a leg, the 3 Sacred Treasures exclusive imprint stones can also be purchased. Well, at least you can purchase things where you can make more of them, right? Or make them faster. So as you guys can see, those are going to be available here as well. So yeah, Netmarble is up to their old whale crap as usual, so, you know, it is what it is. But overall, that is pretty much what we got there, you guys. We get into the content improvements and some of the bugs and error fixes, and there's really not a whole lot in here to talk about. There is mention in here, again, of Chapter of Fight, or Dream Match rather, I'm sorry. So they do mention Dream Match in here again, which I thought was kind of interesting, as you guys can see right here. So this line here, they mentioned Dream Match. I'm assuming Dream Match is coming back at a certain point very soon. We'll have to wait and see when, but that's all that they mentioned there, so not anything too crazy. It isn't coming back with this update from the looks of it, but they continue to mention it, so I'm assuming eventually it's coming back. So anyway, you guys, that is going to be the update notice, right? So let's go ahead and go to the in-game event notice, because this is going to give us a little bit more information on some of these events that we kind of went through there. So, first off, we do have the tower, right? So the tower, not much else as far as additional information in here is going to be told. This is the same screenshot. We already talked about it. We already know how these towers work. Again, though, keep in mind that if you already have SS Iori, he is going to be usable here, so you can go ahead and potentially be able to clear through this without having to pull on this banner, depending on where your Iori is at. So if you're not planning on pulling on the banner, but you already have him, congratulations. So that is going to be that. The new Rush Dungeon isn't really going to have a whole lot of information here that's anything different from the normal. Rush dungeons are pretty much asimilar across the board. The biggest thing to keep in mind is going to be that new card set that we already kind of mentioned and talked about from the event notice, and that is going to be our new chase set for the exchange shop for the Rush dungeon. So with that being said, we can move on to the login bonus, which we don't need to talk about, so we'll move a long way from that. And we'll talk about the codex. So as you guys can see, this is going to be the codex here, and you guys are going to see the imprint stones down here. So again, the EX imprint stones are coming along with the EX Kyo and making their introduction into the game. So this will be the first set of EX stones we have ever seen. I know there's people out there that will actually pull on banners just for stones, even if they don't care about getting a character. Right now is kind of an interesting time for everybody because we're hot off the heels of Street Fighter V, so the vast majority of people have spent all their rubies. I get the feeling that this stone set is going to end up being pretty scarce for a lot of people because I don't think as many people are going to go in on Kyo despite the fact that they want to. They're not going to be able to afford to. So I get the feeling that whatever this set does is probably going to be pretty rare and pretty sought after at a certain point, but definitely worth mentioning that that's going to be there. We don't know what the tier 4 and 5 things are going to be for those rewards, but we can pretty much assume elite enhancement hammers and probably rubies more than likely, or maybe there will be something for his EXing. We do not know. So we'll have to wait and see. We know what we had when it comes to the Street Fighter V stuff, but we don't know if that's going to be the same and consistent with what we get with these new things either. So we'll just have to wait and see there. We'll know tomorrow. Now, beyond that, we are also going to have the new bingo. So the new bingo is interesting. Okay, so before everybody gets up in arms, right? The first thing you're going to notice is a couple things, right? So we only get 200 rubies on this board. Yeah. The board also appears to be smaller, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. So you're going to notice this little lock box here, this little locked thing. It says new bingo, right? So it seems as though there is the potential that this is going to have multiple different round rewards. Now, I don't think we've ever seen this type of thing before. Overall, you're seeing that a lot of where the rubies would normally be, a lot of these capsule boxes have kind of taken their place. It might be the fact that they have lowered the amount of rubies here is because we're going to be able to do this multiple times. We don't know yet, so we'll have to wait and see. But it does say new bingo there, and it is locked. We don't know what's going on there. And it does say tier 1 here. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on here. I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at when it comes to some of this stuff, but we'll have to wait and see. It does say complete 8 lines to proceed to the next bingo, but we'll see. So anyway, you guys, that's what it looks like. That's kind of what it seems to indicate here, but it's hard to tell with the way Netmarble does stuff. But biggest thing to note here is you are going to have that little medallion there that you're going to need for the crafting stuff. So interesting overall. The rewards on here aren't anything too special in my opinion. The all clear is a fodder card, whatever. So anyway, we'll move on. Now, we do have a Memory Carnival event. As you guys can see, this shouldn't be anything too difficult. Now, this is going to be another place where we can go ahead and obtain some of these coins, as you guys can see. We're also going to have a bunch of hammers and some other things on here that really are fine, but not anything too crazy. But overall, this shouldn't be very difficult, as you guys can tell there. And we are going to be able to pick up more of that crafting stuff. So pretty neat overall, not anything too shabby, and should be fairly easy to get through, especially if you're planning on pulling on the banner. So next up, we can go ahead and move on from that and talk about the Orochi Resistance crafting event. So we've already taken a look at this screenshot, but as you guys can see, we are going to be able to craft some things here. We've already talked about these, so I'm not going to go back in depth on this. We can't tell exactly what all is on here beyond what is on the screen, but in general, looking pretty darn cool overall. And I'm really hoping those Sacred Treasure stones are going to be really good for our Sacred Treasures team characters. Now, other things that you're going to see here is going to tell you where you can get all of these different things that you're going to need for the crafting event, right? So this is kind of where we can kind of condense some of this stuff down. So let's talk about the things that we don't normally have, right? So basically the crane coin, the sun coin, and the moon coin are going to be available through separate means through some of these different things. So the crane coin will be available from the challenge dungeon strongest rival, the memory carnival, and the 3 sacred treasures relay bingo. The sun coin will be available through the 3 sacred treasures relay bingo, and then the moon coin will be available through the Orochi Advent dungeon. So that is going to be how we can get the coins for this thing. Other things that we need for this stuff is really just going to require us to play Chapter of Fight. So if you guys are playing Chapter of Fight, then you should be in pretty good shape. So overall, good stuff nonetheless, but we can move on. Now, we do have the Orochi Axiomata no Orochi Advent dungeon. Not that big of a deal. Honestly, you can play it 3 times a day, so just make sure you play it 3 times a day. So I believe that this is almost exactly what we've had in the past. I think we've had this before, this particular dungeon, if I remember correctly. So it shouldn't be anything that's overly difficult unless they've changed things around, but there's always that chance. So we'll have to wait and see if they have. But in general, you will want to make sure that you fight this thing 3 times a day. You can only use Kyo, Iori, and Chizuru, so make sure you have one of them built up if you're worried about it. But you can basically create a team of the Sacred Treasures team, and you can go in and knock this guy around and get these rewards 3 times a day. So, new battle pass. We can go ahead and kind of briefly touch on this because real quick, interesting stuff here. We have a BS and SS fighter memory selector in here. So really nice that that's in there. This is very up to date because as you guys can see, there's a lot of what we would really be looking for right now in here. So you're gonna have the Awakened Tier 6 through 7 XP capsule selection boxes at 150 at a time here, which is really nice. You're going to have some dispatch speed up tickets, and you're also going to have the EX Fighter summon tokens for the Volume 1 fighters and the Volume 1 cards. So, cool stuff overall, but we'll talk more about it when it's live in the game. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it here. Other things in here, we have Chapter of Fight coming back. We already know that. Of course, it's coming back because, well, it's tied into some of the stuff for the crafting because we need some of those items. So you guys will want to make sure you're playing your Chapter of Fight every day if you're not already doing that to get the rubies. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You're doing it wrong, but that's pretty much all there is to it. So yeah, that is pretty much what we got, guys. Now, in general, make sure you guys get your dailies done early because we are going to have a maintenance, of course, because we do have a major update coming in. So just make sure that you guys get your stuff done on time and accordingly. But overall, you guys, looks like an interesting update. It looks like there's going to be quite a bit to do. I don't really have any major issues with it. I'm waiting to see kind of what they're going to be doing with that bingo in particular because it looks like it might be a new kind of bingo like we haven't seen before. And in general, I think that we have plenty to do here and there's going to be a lot to keep us busy, even if we're planning on pulling for Kyo or not. If you're planning on going for Kyo, I really hope that he ends up being as good as you guys are hoping. And I hope he ends up coming to you guys easy and you aren't going broke on him like you would have with some of these past banners because, you know, at the end of the day, if he's your favorite, pull for your favorites. But anyway, you guys, that is going to be today's video. You can let me know in the comment section down below if you're going to be pulling for Kyo, if you're excited for any of these events in particular. How do you feel about the update notice? You can let me know in the comment section. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe on the way out, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.
Continue.